Well, I have got my screen coming up, Kate, saying we're live.
Yes,
So welcome to the Create Business Facebook page. And thank you so much for taking a risk and coming in conversation with me and my audience. Hopefully we get some good interaction today. And you were just telling me about what an enormous week you've had. You're based in Macedon?
Yes, that's right. So based in Macedon Ranges, it's not as misty today. It was quite foggy yesterday morning. So the English.
Well, I'm in Bendigo. I'm in Bendigo, and it was amazing waking up to the fog this morning. It's like, oh, it's only early April and here's the fog.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to daylight savings ending actually, because every time I get up at the morning, it's like pitch black.
It is. Yeah, I'm sort of in two worlds about daylight saving. Yeah. So I'm just looking online and my app's telling me I haven't got anyone joining us yet.
Okay.
But we can have a great conversation. And I'll do a formal introduction to you, Kate. I'm sure those of you who are listening, you'll hear a gorgeous accent. Kate, you're originally from the UK?
Yeah, that's right. And then moved over to Australia when I was 10 with my family.
But working internationally, has been a big part of establishing yourself.
Yeah.
So you worked, was it in 7 years in New York and San Francisco?
Yeah, so I actually went from Melbourne to then San Francisco, then back to Melbourne, and then I was a nomad for a couple of years, and then to New York, and then San Francisco, then Brisbane, then Melbourne, then Macedon Ranges. So
I'm so glad you're Macedon.
Yeah, I love it here.
Even though we can't be close right now. You are one amazing woman, and I'm really excited to have this conversation with you. And I can see we have got Carolyn here with us. Hi, Carolyn.
Hi, Carolyn.
During a conversation, if you do have any questions or ideas, do jump on and make a comment. Just looking on my Facebook page on my phone, so I'm looking down. But one exciting project amongst the many you've just done this week, Kate, is that you have relaunched the Fetch.
Oh, the Fetch! Yeah, I thought you were we were having a conversation before. And I was like, no, that's like, no, don't talk about that. But yeah, the Fetch has come out, and yeah, so that's been a big thing that I'm super excited about, considering the state of the world and the global health crisis as well. I think that we need to be more connected than ever before, so I'm really aiming for that virtual connection.
Yeah, just dropped out a tiny bit there, but let's have a bit of a chat about what is the Fetch?
So the Fetch originally started as an event guide for tech, creative and business events. So it was out of Melbourne in 2011 and then grew to 10 different cities. And then it took a little bit of a hiatus for a couple of years as we were kind of realizing how to scale this. And then about a year or two ago, I was considering launching it as a fully global, just online courses, virtual events, live streams like this, workshops, webinars, all that kind of stuff. But then the market, I feel like, wasn't quite ready. There were online events, but it was still a little bit unknown, or people wouldn't be that interested in attending like an online conference. But really, in the last like six months or so, it's really, been a catalyst for just the legitimacy of online events. Hi, Dave.
Absolutely. That's one of the exciting things out of a very dark time, is that I'm able to participate in things around the world and start networking or connect with industries that perhaps were a little bit closed, a little bit centered in on their own community, that had geographic connections. So that's really exciting. What and obviously you've been around in this space for a long while, and also you're engaged quite a bit for that global international community building reach. What are the elements that are really going to, work in building those virtual relationships?
Yes, so I think
that's a big question.
No, it is a huge question, and it's one that I feel like I don't quite have the answer to yet, because even yesterday someone was asking me about, how to really build online connections. And I guess for me, since especially moving to the Macedon Ranges, where, I don't have tech founders near me, there's not even that many freelancers, there's no co-working spaces, there's no, events, things like that in the kind of close proximity. So everything I do work-wise has to be online. So I've kind of stopped differentiating between as much like offline, online. It's just, if I was building connections, how would I do those connections or build those connections online or offline? And so I think the first principles of things like, how can you be a giver? What can you provide? How can you help people? That helps build that, your reputation that you can then build your network from, that then you can operate, out of. So I think there's a lot of stuff that we do when we're face-to-face that you can then do online or virtually to kind of build those connections further. And then another thing that I think is key is that in this time, there are a lot more events, and you can kind of go online and collect connections and try and have quantity, but really it's the time to double down on the quality of the connections you already have. So, how often are you talking to friends or some of the closest people in your professional network? I'm really kind of focusing on those relationships and deepening those relationships, because I think that's what gives us that sense of belonging and purpose when we are, working online purely.
Yeah, it is a really, I don't know, I have had a bit of an up and down week this week, and definitely connection's really important. And it was exciting to get the first edition of the Fetch in my inbox on Monday. Well done. And I'm, from what you're just saying, Kate, I can tell that Fetch is really your big give to all of us. So thank you so much. And just while I'm chatting, I just want to say hey to Dave and Verity. Thank you for joining us. If you've got any questions or ideas for the conversation or for Kate, please pop them in the comments. I'll catch them. So the Fetch is, how do people get involved, and how can they get their events on there, or how can they just be a part of that community?
Yeah, so if there is a big submit event button. So if you go to thefetch.com and you have, you're hosting an event, or you have an event that you'd like more people to come along to or hear about it, discover, you can go submit the event to the Fetch that way. You can also subscribe. It's right now a bi-weekly/fortnightly email newsletter. And I think that's the simplicity is the beautiful part about it, because we've also experimented with building a big event app in the past, and all this kind of stuff. But at the end of the day, I think what a lot of people resonate with the Fetch is it's really simple. It's a newsletter. It's easy to submit events. You can whatever piques your interest, you can attend. We do have a Facebook group as well, but really the core is highlighting everyone else's events and communities and things that people can discover.
Cool. Yeah, it is gorgeous and just so damn straightforward, and which makes it feel inviting that you can try being involved in different things.
Yeah, and cross industry too. I think that's always been one of the best things, because if you're, say, a web developer, you might have subscribed to something on web events, or you're I think entrepreneurs have always worked across multiple things, but things were very siloed. Or if you're a creative in the design or advertising agency world, that was your world. So part of the Fetch is that, if you want to hear about a wellness event, or if you want to hear about a conference on COVID-19, what solutions people are working on, you can. It's all in the one place. And I think that helps us become better professionals when we are across multiple disciplines.
Yeah, you must have exceptional networks.
Well, I think that's someone was asking me about that yesterday, and I think it's really about observation and listening as well, like just being aware or absorbing what's going on online and who's who and where they operate and all of that kind of stuff. So, there's some great questions coming in. So.
Yeah, can you see them coming through? Would you like to maybe answer Dave's questions about panel discussions with more than 4 people?
Well, I think you might be well placed to answer that, Tam, considering BeLive was, this is the platform that you have done research on to host this discussion. How did you kind of come to that conclusion?
Yeah, so everyone, I'm streaming through an app called BeLive. I'm using the free version at the moment, which I think can only have up to 4 people. I think on the paid one, which is like $25 a month, you can go more than 4. And you can also have people on there and audio. And also what you can do, I think you can curate it so you can swap in and out who's on the screen. Yeah, it looks, I haven't done a huge amount of research on it, but it looks like there's a few different formats you can mess around with. And I think also it's designed to do really large conferences. I don't know how. I cannot imagine. I'm not brave enough to do a large, huge event that goes for a long time live just yet. Have you done anything like that, Kate?
Well, at the moment, I'm actually researching all the platforms for a piece on how to host awesome virtual events for SitePoint. So I'm now looking at platforms like Hey Summit. I've personally used Crowdcast in the past. Obviously, Zoom has been very popular. So, Dave, if you wait a week or so, there should be a comprehensive post coming your way. So,
that's great. I look forward to reading that, Kate, and stealing all your ideas. Okay, so Carolyn wants to ask about if, how do you know if people are being engaged?
Yeah, I think that's a great question. If you can't see them, how do you know if you're connecting? And so I think it depends because, and maybe Carolyn can clarify if this is more about online events or if it's online connections in general, because for something like the Fetch, for instance, you can see if what content people are clicking on, what pages they're viewing, the open rate. So there's different kinds of metrics that you can see if they're still subscribing or if they're unsubscribed. For virtual events, I would say, participants. That was always something when I was running online events last year. I would look at how many people would attend the event and then still be attending the event at the end of the event. So, that's one way to kind of see if people are sticky, especially if it's live. So I think it's about coming up with a series of metrics or kind of engagement parameters. And even this a question, like how many questions you're getting during a session is one kind of form of engagement. So yes, there's a series of things. And I see that Carolyn's responded and said for online teaching and professional development. So this kind of question in the context of the teaching profession.
Yeah, there's an article coming out at the Bendigo Tech School, I have the fortunate to work with, and they have done a little bit of research into engagement with students online. So if you follow Bendigo Tech School on Facebook page, you better check out that article next week and see what they're doing. Carolyn, I can post it on my Facebook page as well. There was also up a little bit earlier a question about cost. Is there a cost to being involved in Fetch?
No, there isn't a cost for listing. There is no guarantee, though, that your event would be listed. So we do tend to focus on community events and events that are, really reasonably priced. So often if it's below $100, the event cost, that's fine. We'll totally publish that. But if someone's, running a $5,000 online course or professional development, that's where we may consider, there might be, you know, more sponsorship opportunities there to list. But in general, we do tend to focus more on like the community-driven events rather than people who are in the business of making money from events and then need to kind of advertise to an audience.
Yeah. So your fetch is really about bringing people together to exchange. That's gorgeous. Oh, I forgot what I was going to ask. But what I wanted to know a bit about. I don't know if I'm going to say this right, Kate, but indie startup.
Oh yeah, the indie startup movement. Yeah. So
yeah.
Yeah, I can jump into that. So part of what I call the indie way, or have been championing, is this movement to more of an indie way to company building, is just it's the kind of antithesis of big tech. So I was in Silicon Valley. I raised money for my company Cloud Peeps. I was doing the whole, you know, fast growth at all costs model. And while I was there, I was also in the height of the on-demand economy, when you were seeing Uber and WeWork and a lot of these companies just continually expand. And often I felt that it was at the detriment of the local community. It was the detriment of their users. It was at the detriment of ethics of how to build. And, you know, they often had really poor unit economics as well. So they might be spending, you know, $200 to then sell $100. So it was basically that, you know, the model is lose as much money as possible to grow it all costs, and then hope that the model works longer term. So it's something that then I personally was also going, I don't know if I want to build a company in this manner. Do I want to build Cloud Peeps where every day, you know, it's just like, how can we grow, and then also not really have, you know, an authentic life experience around that. So I don't tend to use the word lifestyle businesses. I think lifestyle businesses are people that, you know, are creating something purely to, you know, lifestyle first, and the business is optimized around their life. And then you've got fast growth tech companies, which is the other way, which is the growth at all costs. An indie business is really in the middle, where you can still run a scalable global business that you really want to grow, and you can still have a great life. It doesn't have to be either or, you know, and there's even ways to fund these companies now. It's not that you have to give away all your company and risk being fired by the board, like a lot of founders have in that kind of trajectory. You can kind of raise what I call mindful capital. So you might do an equity crowdfunding campaign. You might just you know, do self-funding, or use a service that lets you access small amounts of capital to grow. And there's even companies now like Earnest Capital, Indie VC, Mud Brick Capital in Australia, where you can actually take money and then pay it back through revenue, or convert that to actual investment. So it's a really exciting space, and I think longer term we'll see products that are being developed with users in mind, that are going to be around for a longer term. So, you know, it's not about quick flips. You can be working on a company for 10, 20, 30 years.
No, I like that. And thank you so much. I think that is a good topic to have a longer conference event about. Dave, if you're still there, that's a good one to back up, and looking at that idea of indie startups. And I had the honour last year of...
Oh, sorry. Well, that's IndieConf. So we have the annual IndieConf. That is all about indie startups. So definitely check that out, IndieConf AU.
So when's that happening?
Well, it was going to happen in June, because it was due last year, but now we'll either look at doing a virtual event, or push it back to September, October, November, depending on the situation, even next year at the current state of things. So there'll be more announced, I guess, as clarity said.
I'll stay tuned to the fetch so I can find out more. I think yeah, really interesting space that you're creating there, and community that you're driving. Thank you so much, Kate. There was one comment here from Lucy. Hey, Lucy, and hi, Rebecca, as well, that you need us to comment to know that you're here watching us, and just wondering if there's other ways you can see. There is on Facebook, when I'm looking at my stream, I can see the numbers of people who are watching. If you ever do try out Facebook Live, now's such a good time to test out all different streaming services. And the great thing about Facebook Live is that you can do a test and just have it stream so that you're the only one who sees it, which is trouble to get to know your audience. But I think, you know, exactly what you're doing, Kate, is that you're just getting up and making that shit happen. And, you know, before we went live, you mentioned that, you know, just in this week, you've been astonished in your networks at how people are innovating. And it'd be great to hear about, you know, how people are pushing through and just, you know, making stuff happen.
Yeah, so I think personally I found this time very productive, and at first I had this kind of quandary because I was like, oh, should I feel guilty that I am, you know, being productive in this time and I'm, you know, not focused as much, you know, on the daily monitoring the stats in life, real time. And I think that's like that, you know, that it's good to be aware, but if we become consumed by the current situation and you know, let the anxiety cripple us, and that's not going to be productive long term, because this situation, you know, could go on for many, many months. So I think that people who are choosing to create and make and do things in this time, it's fantastic. And there has been so much creativity and innovation from all around the globe in response to this. And I'm just seeing so many people like push new things live, you know, even things like Harry Potter books. Yesterday, J.K. Rowling did the Harry Potter school. I don't know if that was something that was being prepared before, but the speed in that things that people are releasing now, just even innovation. Yesterday I saw something on LinkedIn where people were creating masks that were for the hearing impaired. So there was a clear bit around it, so you could actually see people's mouths. And so I actually think it's been, you know, a great time for that innovation and for people releasing things. And I've had so many like more emails and things that are happening. So yeah, it has kind of been quite positive to see that people are choosing to act in this time.
Yeah. So I guess, you know, just to, I absolutely love talking with you, Kate, and I hope that we have lots more conversations, but I will start wrapping things up. But I feel like, you know, this new space where we are moving into streaming live and having lots more virtual relationships is that, you know, really is spending that time to find a network or find places where you can find out new information, and then you know, get in and get involved and see how audience engagement happens for you. And I'm definitely really interested to keep talking about that. Rebecca's just asked, you know, in that, I suppose, you know, if we are talking about trying out new platforms, you know, should be worried about security, and she's talking about Zoom in particular. What have you been following all those stories on Zoom? What do you reckon?
Yeah, so Zoom has actually had this rocky journey over the last couple of months. It's actually before the global health crisis too, with just some of their practices. But recently, because of the volume, I think they went from 10 million users a day to like 200 million. So they've had a lesson in, you know, steep lesson in learning. And their CEO over the last week they have been pushing changes. So I think that we will see less cause to be concerned about the security of Zoom as they, again, like the point before, innovate really quickly to get these things solved. So they have been working on those. So I'd give it a couple more weeks before hopefully they've patched a lot of these security issues. But yes, the unfortunate thing is with anything that becomes really popular, then people are going to try and target and exploit that too. So it has been something that I just think make sure that your practices are really great as well, because that's how some people have been exploited, like their public Zoom URLs have been used to by scammers and spammers and people who've you've been able to get in there and yeah, read some horrible stories. So I wouldn't long term, I wouldn't be concerned, but just be diligent in the meantime.
Yeah, it really is yeah, not taking taking everything with a grain of salt, and you know, working out best practice. Yeah, one of the innovations that I'm yet to try out but excited, I'm not even sure if it's released in Australia, but I saw that Facebook is going to have a feature put on live stream where people pay to get on a live stream, which is great for you know, people who might be running a workshop, or say performers or artists that, you know, have lost their live, you know, real live audience. Have you seen that working at all?
For paid events, yes. So initially, I have seen a lot of free events. Events that would have been paid actually have been free online. Yeah. So what I think we'll see at the moment is a lot of events continually to be free or very accessible in the early days, and then as people, you know, these get established and communities get reestablished and online becomes normal, I do think we'll see a return to paid events. But right now, I've actually seen a lot of free events, and there's some global conferences that, you know, you might have used be paying $2,000 or $3,000 a ticket for, that have all been completely free online. So there are some upsides, but from the artist perspective, I hope that we do have more goodwill and can kind of help people who might not be able to connect in their live events, because I think that's a huge pain point at the moment for musicians and artists and things like that.
Yeah, it would be devastating, but I have just seen even on Instagram some really fabulous ways to yeah, people are connecting and keep producing, keep connection with their audience. Ooh, we have just got one more question before we wrap up. The page where you have to submit a link to your event, can you provide a link to a Facebook page as opposed to Zoom link? Can we submit free events on Fetch? It's from someone called Let's Talk. I'm not quite sure.
So the whole question might be to do with submitting event to the Fetch, if I read it correctly. So you can submit any links. It doesn't have to be a Zoom link. It doesn't have to be, you can submit directly to a Facebook page link, as long as it's a registration page where someone can find out how to sign up for the event or course or in the live stream. So it needs to have that information in it. And then, yes, you can submit free events. Free events are fantastic. And if you're trying to do community events just to help out this time, we're happy to support you too. So feel free to submit as many events as you like.
Great. Thank you for everyone joining us, and thank you so much for your fantastic questions. Look forward to lots of more great conversations, and well done, Kate. Keep smashing it.
Oh, thanks for having me. Lovely. Nice way to end a week.
And if you keep us in touch with your article coming about, with different platforms you're checking out to do live streams or virtual events. I think there is a big community out here that's keen to read that.
Yep. I'll also include some stuff about metrics, because I think that's a great question as well, you know, how to see if your online virtual events are being successful. So yeah, I'm excited to write the piece now. If anyone's got any questions or anything they'd like to see answered, feel free to message me or tweet me, and then I'll incorporate those. And then any questions about the Fetch in the future, let me know as well. So happy to help.
Gorgeous. Thank you so much, Kate. Have a gorgeous Friday afternoon.
Okay, bye everyone. Thank
you
very much.